Hello, and welcome to the Bald and Beardiful. I'm Chris.
I'm Bryce.
I'm Bubba Bald.
And I'm Beardiful. And this is a an interesting time for us to do this because we missed a week.
Sort of.
Oh yeah. Well, we played it, we just didn't record it. And but I think we had a pretty good reason. Well, you had a pretty good
I
reason.
had a good reason.
I easily could have just gone on a rant, but no one just wants to watch just me.
That's true.
It,
I concur.
it's better when you have the comic relief.
The comic relief. I thought
Yes.
I thought you were the comic relief.
No, you're definitely funnier to look at than I am.
No, I'm fun. You misspoke. I am funnier than you. Yes.
Anyway,
But
anyway, yeah, we're wrapping up week 2. We're going into week 3 with this recording because of I want to say unforeseen circumstances, but that's not quite true.
it's a surprise. Yeah, let's do with her. So, surprise, surprise. My well, we know now. My son arrived early than expected. Originally due October 8th, which would have been a Friday, which would have been perfect because we totally could have recorded and had no problems, and then welcomed the baby for the weekend. But due to unforeseen circumstances, baby boy has arrived early, but is healthy, doing well. So is mom. So that's where we skipped a week as far as recording is concerned, so I could attend to family duties.
Yep, September 14th.
14th.
Yep,
at
on
12/12
on a Tuesday.
Yeah,
I don't know. Actually, now I say that I know I'm quoting a song. I just don't remember what the actual lyrics are now.
on a Tuesday. I don't know.
No, you know what I'm talking about? On a Tuesday. It might be Wednesday. It might be Friday. I have no idea.
It might be a day that ends in Y.
It's one of those, I think. I'm almost like 30% positive it is.
Almost 30%. That's about right. All right,
But
so
that brings us to this.
Yeah, so we got quite a bit to go over, catch up a little bit. Not too bad of a start to the overall season, although I feel like for some reason the league as a whole has started off very poorly.
Don't diminish this for me.
No. Not. I'm not talking about you. You said as far as I know, because of where you're currently standing. I'm just saying. I really mean it because of where I'm standing, based on my current performance, right?
So you're doing bad. Therefore, the whole league must be doing pretty bad too.
No, it's because okay. So obviously, we're alluding to where you're at. You're right now coming into week 3. You're second overall in the league, right? As far
By 4 points. I am
Yeah.
in second by 4 points. I am
Right.
so close to first.
So you have what, like 60 some
Out of
odd
104 people, by the way.
Yeah, out of 104, so significant, right?
Yeah.
So you're at like 60 some odd points, right?
67.5.
Yeah, that often is a single week's points, right?
Depending on the type of spread you get, sure. I mean,
Yeah.
we definitely had some pretty big spreads in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah,
New Orleans versus Green Bay, and then funny enough, Panthers versus New Orleans the next week.
Yeah, we had some ones where I was on the ass end of those as well.
I was able to avoid those, hence why I'm in the spot.
Yeah, but I was talking about me, right? Like I said, what my performance has been so far. This is par for the course, though. You come out to an early lead, and then I close the distance down the home stretch, and then you end up losing. This is the normal cycle.
If you haven't watched last season, spoilers.
Last season, yeah, from a year ago. As far as that goes, but but like I have like 14 points in total, right? And I'm sitting at something like 20th overall. Is what I'm saying. That's why I say I feel like the league as a whole is performing poorly. I feel like I should be in like the bottom half of the on a weekly basis, right? And from an overall like season, we've only had 2 weeks, but even that 2 weeks, I don't feel like I should be sitting in the knocking on the door of the top 20 with only 14 points. That means there's a lot of negative. People had a lot of negative weeks.
I'm looking at the overall standings right now, and this can't be right as far as this person got 0 and 0 for both week 1 and 2. Because I think if you don't pick anything, you get -8, I thought.
I thought so too.
So
But that might
if
get added in later, or that might be a manual thing. We might be doing that as a manual penalty because there were some people that tried to work the system where they pull the pick. Like so, like you going into like the Monday night game, right? And you only have
in
four
your
picks
head,
in your head. You could just pull your pick, right? And therefore you would win. Not necessarily that it was against the rules. They were using the lack of rules that we have in
yeah.
their favor. But
Well, what I was going to say with this, at 0 points overall, this person is sitting at number 36. So, but what you're saying is, yeah, we have a lot of people that are negative.
yeah, I think a lot of people got hosed by Green Bay. I think a lot of people got
And
hosed by the Saints. I mean, I got hosed by the Saints, but like I had the Bills that balanced me out, which we'll see here in a second, right? So I had some picks that balanced me out. Whereas other folks, had they not, like you had to, if you hit those big upset ones and you didn't hit the other game that was on the opposite end, that was like a big game to balance yourself out, you were kind of screwed.
I feel like this person is trying to get last place from the get-go, because there is I guess they do a small prize for last place.
You get
And
just your
mean,
next season's, like you get next season's.
yeah, it's not really worth it. But they had negative 108 in week 1.
Yeah, they basically they
Okay,
bowled a perfect like goose egg basically on all their picks. They had the absolute worst picks for the
yeah,
week.
that's ridiculous. The
That,
only
that's that I feel like that person should just buy a lottery ticket because like even though like it's unlucky that you
so
got
they,
all those
they can get
picks,
exactly all the wrong
just
ones
the
like the rest of
odds,
us.
yeah, just the odds of like you getting every like out being on the negative end of every big spread, big like point spread game is
It's
just not.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not likely. It's not likely. You were bound to pick some game that was good, unless like they said they're just picking like big dogs, right? Trying to go for like basically. I mean, I guess maybe not, because if you're always just picking big dogs, swinging for the fences, trying to hit hit some home runs, you're going to strike out. People who swing for home runs consistently have the most strikeouts, right? Because they're always swinging for the fence. If you do that, like, yeah, then you could end up doing that. I guess I mean, it's a strategy, but you're like, it doesn't make sense to do all of the ones. Like it makes more sense to pick like one boomer bust. Like you have like some pretty consistent picks, and then you may have one that's a boomer bust pick. That could potentially put you over. But if you're picking just all or nothing, it doesn't seem like a good strategy.
So just looking at what they had picked to get that low, they went with Tennessee. I don't remember who they played week 1, but got negative
Cardinals.
28. Oh, then when they got the
No,
by the
Cardinals. They play
Cardinals.
Cardinals in week 2. I take that back. So
No,
Tennessee.
week 2, Cardinals played Vikings.
Oh, you're
And
right. So yeah, it was the Cardinals. It was against the Cardinals.
yeah, so Cardinals did really well that week, and Tennessee got with the spread was negative 28. Then Washington was -3, which wasn't that bad. They picked Atlanta, which I picked Eagles, because I was pretty sure the Eagles were going to win, and Eagles were the underdog. And because they picked Atlanta with -29, and then the Green Bay fiasco with New Orleans went to -28 or 38, sorry. And then they went with Baltimore, and who played not Kansas City, because that was this past weekend. I'm blanking, but they Baltimore ended up with -10.5, which I feel like
No, they
they
played Las
won.
Vegas. They played Las Vegas. It was the
Yeah,
game in overtime.
yep, yeah. They lost it by, was it like 3 points in overtime? But with the spread of -7 or something, gives them
Yeah,
the
the
-10.
-10. Yeah. So there it is.
Yeah. So I
Oh no,
mean,
did they
Baltimore.
score? Did they score a touchdown in overtime? I thought the Raiders ended up scoring a touchdown.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, no. So that's what it was.
Yeah,
The
I think
spread
they were
was
it was thrown in.
Yeah, the spread was -4.
It's empty.
Yeah, the spread was -4. That's what it was. The spread was -4, or Raiders +4, right? And then they
Right.
scored a touchdown, which would get them the 10 points. because they don't make them kick in overtime. They don't make you kick the extra point.
Yeah, that was a frustrating game to watch for sure. Let's get into how we did week 1.
All right.
He's skipping a few things there, buddy.
Hey, we skipped a week anyway. I'm just showing exactly what happened.
Yeah. So my biggest letdown was Jacksonville, which, funny enough, I mean, I guess for both of us, this was our biggest letdown. You just didn't have a good one to follow up with it like I did. Even with Tyrod Taylor going out, Houston kept it together. I could just imagine being on the other end of this, and I probably could have finished in a better position for that week. Actually, funny or just fun trivia here. I actually ended up in 8th over 105 people 2 weeks in a row. That's ridiculous. I don't know how that happened. But what were your thoughts on Jacksonville besides the fact that Lawrence threw like 5 picks?
Yeah, I was just really disappointed with the overall game script, right? Like, I felt like Urban Meyer is a way better tactician, and I figured
He threw 3 picks, but
yeah, no, I was just saying, like, I just don't like that. I think it was just the rookie quarterback with the game plan, with the game plan that they had. I didn't really watch the game, but from the highlights that I saw, like, Trevor Lawrence really didn't use his legs to like extend plays. Like, I remember watching him in like, yeah, not that it was that long ago. He's a rookie, right? But I did watch him in college, right? I saw his games in college, and in college, like, yes, he was a good passer and he made plays, but he also, like, to a certain extent, had the capacity to extend plays with his legs. So I don't know if they were trying to keep him healthy and like not really not really like let him run too much. But I felt like, from the highlights, like, the lack of his running, and lack of designed plays. Like, I feel like he needs to be like more of like a more like Russell Wilson almost. I feel like he fits that mold where he's a good passer. He has the capacity to make plays downfield, but he also has the capacity to extend plays with his legs. And I think he's young enough and durable enough, right? Like, that you should be able to have some designed runs like they do with like Kyler Murray, right? There are designed runs that go to Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson. They do designed runs. Like, I think Trevor Lawrence is a better passer than Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson keeps his team in the game by being that X factor runner. And I think they need to sprinkle. I'm not saying necessarily as much, but I think they need to script in some of that, and they just didn't really see it. And maybe that's where we should have like kind of anticipated, like, okay, they're gonna not necessarily like let him blast out the gates, right? They're gonna really like ease him into playing, right? So
I can't think of who was before Gardner Minshew, but I can't remember a time where Jacksonville is known for a more active running back or quarterback, sorry, and that could be a reason why.
I think of before Gardner Minshew, was Foles there for a minute?
Not that I can remember.
Yeah, I think Nick Foles went there for a minute. I think Nick Foles was there, and I'm trying to remember the only real like quarterbacks I remember. Like, we're like going way back. We're talking about like Byron Leftwich, who's a coach now. He's a quarterback coach now. And then Blake Bortles was like he was probably one of their better. I mean, he definitely was one of their better quarterbacks, right? But he wasn't like a mobile quarterback or anything like that. And they never really like surrounded him with talent.
Blake was before Garner for like the last 5 years.
Yeah.
But Foles was, from what I can tell, was never there.
No, he wasn't. Where did he go? I know he went to Chicago.
Oh, he was backup for Garner in 2019, but only for that 1 year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he was there for a second.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I
Either way,
didn't see. I'm looking at Wikipedia. It was that there was that little slash that was there. I was like, oh look, he was behind Gardner Minshew.
yeah. So that's where I mean they both played, right? Like yeah, you go and then Philly. I didn't expect Philly to blow the doors off of Atlanta.
I
I'm
absolutely
not.
did.
I'm not saying that I expected Atlanta to win necessarily because Atlanta isn't you know is Atlanta, but I just did not expect a lot from Philly, and maybe I don't know if it's just because Philly is better than we think, or if it's because Atlanta is worse than we think.
I think Atlanta's just worse than we think because I think the next week Philly had to. I mean, actually, no, I think Philly is doing pretty well because even though the next week they went up against San Francisco, and even though
We'll get there. We'll
they
get to week two. Stick to week one. I mean, we can. So overall, we were on the other for the most part. We were on the
yeah,
same.
my
Right?
my other good pick was Denver over New York. Got me another 11 points. So the 29 plus the 11 more than made up for the negative 19 and the extra 3. And then Carolina and New York are the Jets, where it's basically a wash. A negative 0.5 is basically a wash. Like it's a negative, but it's still not that bad.
It's not anything like that. But
Getting past your bedtime, old man.
oh yeah, no. Well, I mean, new baby, right? Not a whole lot of sleep. Like being up multiple times a night to help out. We got a better balance between me and the wife. Like, well, because she needed recovery time and whatever. So I was staying up like later to let her kind of take a nap, so that she could, so that the middle of the night, feedings and whatnot, like were hers, and then I would get up and then I've been getting up, and then I've been taking the morning feedings and letting her sleep in, is what's been happening.
And back to football.
But back to football. But yeah, like so. What I want to point out, and super disappointing, was that San Francisco game for some unknown reason, for some godforsaken reason.
Oh, they let Detroit come
They
back.
let Detroit come back and score like 21 points or
Yeah,
something like that in the
yeah,
fourth quarter.
they were up by like 3 touchdowns, and yeah, they just killed the spread.
Yeah, they absolutely killed my spread. I mean, obviously, like I still got half a point, so positive nonetheless.
Basically a wash.
But basically a wash. Um,
Miami was doing well for a while. I mean, they got the win, but I think Tua went out in
yeah,
this game.
no, Tua went out week 2. No.
Oh, was that week 2?
This was one where like it was just super low scoring. Just not a whole lot. Neither team could got anything going. It was just really bad offensively.
They were relatively even matched from offense to defense. New England is a good team with their new quarterback. I want to say Donald is
Mac Jones. Mac
Jones. Donald is New York is the Giants, so that's my fault.
No, Daniel Jones is the quarterback for the Giants.
Who the heck am I thinking
Sam Darnold is the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers now. He left the Jets.
Wow, I am so misinformed.
You're way off.
Yeah, this is why they don't bring us to the national network. Well, they also have cheat sheets in front of them for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean they have a production crew, a producer. They have people that write scripts, do all the graphics and editing and social media.
Anyway, Denver. We were both on Denver.
Both on Denver. That happened exactly the way I think we expected it to. And then I don't think we really need to go in depth on that. I think that just happened the way everybody expected it to. And then we have Las Vegas. I think Las Vegas is a highly underrated team. I think that this is not so much.
I think they got a little lucky. There were a couple of fumbles and interceptions by Jackson that definitely brought them back.
Oh yeah,
because Baltimore was ahead that entire game.
It was close. I mean, they were ahead, but not by like double digits or anything. No,
it wasn't like the San Francisco game. It was a back and forth game. And it's kind of what you expect with Baltimore. Baltimore has a great offense, but their defense lets the opposing team keep up, which happened in week 2 as well.
Yep. All right. So we both ended up positive on the week though, which we're following normal patterns where you said you win early weeks.
This isn't normal patterns because we were both positive. This doesn't happen that often.
Well, yeah. Whereas
Usually we're just both negative.
I didn't have my normal week one negative week, which has been like for like every season. So
my week two strategy changed a little bit, and I think it shows. And I'm going to try my hardest to keep that strategy going, do a little bit more research on the better picks.
All right. So week two, the missing week, if you will, the week of my son's birth, which was a surprise. It's a boy, right? Like we didn't know until little man joined the world. All right. So yeah, I don't know what happened. So I'm looking at Cleveland. I don't know what happened with Cleveland letting Houston score that much.
This game was head to head until like the fourth quarter, and Houston could not. I think, and this Tyrod Taylor hurt his hamstring in this game as well. They lost their main quarterback in the middle of the game, and honestly, like I'm not surprised it happened. It just surprised it didn't happen last week. Is basically what it is. Tyrod Taylor seems to be a really nice player, but he just has the worst luck with staying healthy. So far, it just seems to be a sprain to the hamstring, not season ending for him. So hopefully he comes back to help Houston. I think Houston's underrated. Cleveland is a good team, especially when Odell is not playing. And I was hoping, with the 12.5 spread, it was easy, 12.5 points to start. I was hoping they would keep it close. I was hoping that they would at least keep it within a field goal, but I still got positive points out of it, so I'm not too unhappy about it. Rams, and I definitely thought they were gonna do a little better against Indianapolis, but not every game happens the way you want it to.
I'm pretty sure Carson Wentz sprained both his ankles in this game too. I think something like that. Like I read something about both his ankles being an issue of some sort, but I think he was playing with basically two sprained ankles, and they still didn't put a whooping on
him. I don't know. I actually wasn't paying attention to the Indianapolis side of that a lot, but just to move past it, Buffalo absolutely destroyed Miami, and this, like you said earlier, it was the game that Tua went out, but no one was expecting a shutout, and then I think they were shutting him out in the by the third quarter. I believe they were up 24 or so. And I honestly thought oh yeah, they'll let them come back and it's gonna absolutely destroy my spread. Nope, they scored another touchdown on them and made it even better. I was like, all right, I can't complain about this.
No, this is a divisional game. That's why I picked it, because I was on them too. I was on Buffalo as well. Yep. Even though it was in Miami, this is a divisional game. Buffalo lost that really close game to the Steelers in week one, which they shouldn't have lost. They were up They were up 10-0 at half, weren't they?
I don't think they had them shut out. I think they were up 16-6 or something like that.
Either okay, so 10 points. Maybe
maybe it was a 10-point difference, but I don't think they did not have them shut out. And that's not just because I'm wearing a jersey.
Whatever. Either way, they were significant up by 2 scores. We'll just say they're up by 2 scores, regardless of what it is. Doesn't matter. But up by 2 scores at half. There's no reason why they should not be able to close out that game.
Actually, at halftime it was 9-7. So,
wow, what was that? Okay,
I don't know. And so if the scoring went in the first quarter, 3 points, then 6-7, then 7-0, then 10-10.
Yeah. So either way, I just think that I don't know what happened with Buffalo against the Steelers, but figuring they needed a bounce back game against a divisional rival, and then that they are significantly better than, and they were going to put a whooping on them because they needed the confidence, so they needed to run up the score.
So I completely misspoke because the scores I just showed off were for the Steelers-Raiders game.
Figures.
at a halftime, it was 0-10.
I was right.
You
Hey,
were
look
right.
at that.
You were right. And then Steelers had 2 field goals in the third quarter, then scored 17 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. So they just said Buffalo just didn't close out.
No. Well, I mean, Steelers, if this score shows anything, Steelers have always been a second half team.
Yeah. All right, moving on. So New England at the Jets. It's you.
Oh, it was me. Oh yeah.
It's still you. I didn't pick.
Yeah.
I didn't pick that game.
Yeah. I mean, it's the Jets. Yeah. I mean, it's the Jets. I mean, they did okay in the previous week, but who did they play last week? One of us picked it. Week 1.
They played New England. The Jets played New England.
No,
no. Sorry, the Jets.
We're in week 2. They obviously did not.
Sorry.
They played the Panthers, and that was a close game. I still thought this might be a somewhat of a close game, but I definitely thought they would win by a touchdown or more, and they did. And this isn't divisional, right?
No,
because it's Buffalo, Giants, and Miami with New England. Yeah. So, but well, it's
that's AFC versus NFC, right? The Jets are NFC team, right? No, the Jets are AFC. Never mind.
So I mean, it's conference, but either way.
Yeah. Not divisional, but conference. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I got a little lucky with this. I knew New England was going to win. I got lucky on the spread of it. Arizona, I definitely thought they were going to do better against Minnesota. They are barely lucky they won this game. They, in case you didn't watch this game, Arizona won by a shanked kick by Minnesota. I think it was less than 40 yards out, and
it was 37 if I'm remembering correctly, because I was watching that game.
And it went wide right. And so they got so this could have been worse for me. Well, it went actually 3. I would have been another -6, or another -3 for a -6 to put me in the higher 30s instead of 44. Either way, I still ended up in 8th with a week overall. So I got lucky with this one. I was pretty sure Arizona had a better defense to hold back Minnesota's offense, but Cook just kept on running. The was it run by committee? Who was Cook's backup? Madison. He did really well. And then between Thielen and Johnson, is it Johnson?
Jefferson.
They just kept
going. They kept on chucking. Yeah.
Yep. Back and forth. Neither one giving ground. And those are fun games to watch, just not fun ones to be on the spread.
Yeah, no. Like anytime you place a game-winning field goal on a Minnesota kicker's foot, it's almost game's over. Game's over.
Usually.
Yeah, typically, because there was Blair Walsh missed the time when he was the kicker. He kept putting them into the uprights. There's a number of like Minnesota's kind of cursed when it comes to kickers. It doesn't matter who they have. They could have one of the best kickers in the league, and they have it from one point or another. But for some reason, when push comes to shove, when it comes down to those like game-winning, like, clutch moments, the Minnesota's cursed.
Well, pressure is a real thing. Anybody can feel the pressure, especially in the NFL.
All right. Moving on. Is it 7.5? I'm slowly but surely moving up. I scored half a point more this week.
What was I last week? 20 something?
23, I think.
Yeah. So I almost doubled.
Almost. I said we're both moving in the right direction. I said I think I need to reevaluate how I'm making picks a little bit for this season. I'm not I'm off on my trends so far. But either way, like I said, it's no
early.
One
expected New Orleans to get shut down by Carolina. They did really well against the Packers. And
hindsight, I was discounting that game because Aaron Rodgers I believe Aaron Rodgers kind of like tanked that game on purpose to prove a point, because of his contract negotiations.
The you need me point.
Yeah. yeah, the you need to, yeah, you need to play ball with me. But I actually thinking about this now and talking about trends. That's what sparked this. I did not follow the normal trends for New Orleans, which is to fade New Orleans on the road. You
uh,
bet on New Orleans at home, which they were at home against Green Bay,
but
and then
not
you
really.
fade them on the road.
They
I mean,
they
but not
were
really.
because they didn't play at New Orleans. They
They,
played in
they didn't play at the
Florida.
Superdome.
They played in Florida because of the hurricane. Yeah, Green Bay versus New Orleans was played in Florida.
Whatever. Either way, but
It makes a difference.
whatever. But either way, what I'm saying is like you fade New Orleans on the road, and I missed that trend, and I should have saw that. But like looking at how Carolina's performance, Carolina like barely beat the Jets, so like figure like they were going up against a more talented team, talents and tenure, but whatever. We were both on Buffalo. We were both on Arizona. I had no doubt with the Cowboys that they were going to win this one straight up. I like the defense. Uh, Cowboys defense is still suspect to a certain extent, but I you know I just didn't think that even though the Chargers have a good offense, they have Herbert, they have some, they have Mike Williams, they have Keenan Allen, they have Austin Eckler,
Mhm.
right? And they have Cook for Jared Cook as their tight end, right? So they have receiving talent, they have some decent running talent, but I just even as a sophomore, coming in Herbert, I don't think. I mean, this is a low scoring game, but as far as my thought process was, is that if he got into a shootout with Dak, the Cowboys are going to win, right?
Yeah,
This
Dak's
ended up,
definitely got the better arm, in my opinion.
yeah. So, but it ended up being a closely hard fought game. I was just like, I don't think the two. I'm not really sure. I didn't get to watch it, unfortunately, because it wasn't in our market as far as available to watch from home.
And if we
Uh,
ever get sponsored, maybe we can afford to watch all of the games.
we can get red. We can buy Red Zone, or maybe we'll get somebody to
Actually,
donate a Sunday ticket subscription for us.
I think the Red Zone mobile app is only $35 for the year, but it says 7 hours of games, and I think it's just Sunday.
Yeah,
But
I
then
think
again, the Thursday night and Monday night are usually on like the local TV.
or no Monday. I think
No,
Monday night's on ESPN. I think
yeah.
Thursday is local, and then Monday's ESPN. But either way, like I said, so if anybody wants to sponsor us with some red zone action, I just so that we can be up to date on all the things that are going on. And then we have Casey, who just cannot. I mean,
No, I knew this was going to happen because it happened last year. This is history repeating itself. Baltimore and KC were in a shootout, just like KC and the Rams were. But 2 years ago, when Gurley was still there, they were in a complete shootout. But Baltimore had their number in the end. Uh, Baltimore comes in with a huge win over KC. The next week goes against, like, I believe it was the Browns, and lost. Like, this this doesn't make any sense.
so yeah, it's uh, ended up. So the Buffalo game was ultimately my saving grace. Uh,
Because of the New Orleans fiasco.
yeah, because of the New Orleans fiasco. Because if I don't have that one, the swing on that, if I picked almost any other game, basically I could have picked almost any other game and been in real good shape.
Yeah, but here we are.
And here we are,
All
indeed.
right.
All right,
So as it stands, I am
wait,
two.
I have the standings at the end. Don't worry, I
Oh,
haven't
we're doing
decided for
that.
that.
All
Don't
right.
worry about it.
Well, I
But
feel like it
don't.
should be here.
Well, yeah, I know. Yeah, premature as usual. It's a problem. You may want to get that like
You
that.
like your kid.
That's not cool.
He was 3 weeks premature. It is by definition what happened.
Anyway,
Is
week
is
three.
it's not even an insult.
Week three.
We have a cousin that was a preemie. It just doesn't make, like, I don't know why you're insulted.
Uh, anyway, can we three-peat positive weeks, 3 weeks in a row out the gate? Because yeah, you're right. Because normally we both start off just like negative, and whoever wins is just like whoever's less negative.
Yeah, it's it's not quite the best of the worst, but it's like the best of the middle pack for us.
All right.
We got some similarities. Basically, all of our middle picks are the same. And I don't know why I'm going with Arizona again, but I am, because they're going to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's falling apart. Arizona's got a good defense, and if Lawrence is going to throw picks, I'm hoping they'll throw it to Arizona. He's thrown at least two. He's thrown 5 in 2 games. So, it's an interesting trend that's happening. Before we get to our similar picks, I'll go to San Francisco.
Well, I was gonna say before we go ahead over to the other picks here, like I like Arizona from a betting perspective. I'm good with them as a bet, like, but not
like a straight up money line bet.
Not necessarily. I mean, money line I think is fine, but I think you can take Arizona with the points. I just don't think that they're gonna blow those points out of the water, right? Like I could totally see them winning by like 10, right? Something like that.
It's positive points at that point.
It'll be positive points, but it's not going to be like anything crazy. But I also think there is a small chance that Arizona like shits the bed against a worse team, because that would be a very Arizona thing to do. Have a hard fought week and against 2 hard fought weeks against 2 good teams, even though they dominated Tennessee, right? They had a little bit of a winning hangover against the Vikings at home, but still managed to luck out on a win because of a missed field goal. But they ultimately, like, even with Dalvin Cook's like running, they still should have been able to win that game. Like, really, they played well enough. They shouldn't have had any problems with that.
This is one of my picks that I may swing on. I've done from my research, I'm fairly confident in 3 of my 5. The Arizona and San Francisco may be ones that I change later.
Right. But yeah, you go ahead and move on. Go to San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco at San Francisco against Green Bay. Again, this may be one I change as well, especially if Rodgers is actually coming to play. Aaron Jones did really well last week against, I can't remember.
Oh my God, against Detroit.
Yeah.
The 4 touchdowns that he swung my fantasy team from I was projected to lose, and then he absolutely balled out for me to be able to come back for the victory.
Jones and Henry both did really well. Henry for Tennessee both had 40 plus points in a non-PPR league, which is absolutely amazing. So that one may be one I reconsider, but for now, that's just it is what it is.
I mean, you're considering it, so actually, well, let's also mention it. So you're not concerned about the running back situation in San Francisco?
A little bit. Again, it's San Francisco's been playing very well. They've had some close games. They've done really well on defense. I just don't know how well they're going to handle the run. I think I was doing a little bit of research, and I was actually doing research into the defensive stats, and I think San Francisco, along with like Carolina, were up there. So as far as the defensive rankings go, if I was looking at the run, this is not the website I normally go to. I'll have to find it in a minute. San Francisco was just higher up on the list.
Sure. All right. So we want to go into my different picks from this we're going on. All right. So picking the upset, Chicago over Cleveland. You mentioned Jarvis. Well, we were talking about that earlier. I don't think we were recording, but Jarvis Landry looks like he's going to be out. OBJ doesn't look like he may or may not play, right? So that they are very limited as far as receivers are concerned, right? Baker Mayfield has an injury to his non-throwing arm, but an injury nonetheless. So I could totally see them like not necessarily like being very tentative in their game plan, because they obviously don't want Baker to go out. And then Chubb and Kareem Hunt can only do so much, especially when there's no real deep threat. As far as down the field deep threat. with Landry and OBJ out, right? So I just think that I think this just kind of smells like a barking dog to me.
Well, from what I'm looking at here, I believe Chicago is about middle of the pack as far as passing yards allowed per game go. So as far as their running game, at least per yardage, looking at Chicago, they are fifth from the top as
So
for yards allowed per
solid run
game.
defense, yeah. So they have a solid run defense to be able to, should be able to stifle. I'm not saying completely contain, but should be able to stifle the run game enough. And they said, and there's no real receiving threat, so the receivers aren't necessarily going to be an issue. So Baker Mayfield's not going to be looking to be getting hit, right? So I think he's going to be trying to get the ball out early and often, right? So we're talking about like small, short yardage like releases.
The only downside is that as far as points per game scored, Chicago again is about middle of the pack with about 25 points per game.
Yeah,
it's only 2 games so far.
But that's with Andy Dalton though. Justin Fields should start is looking to start this week. So with Justin Fields starting,
I mean, well, for points allowed per game, it doesn't have to do with the quarterback. It's what the defense is allowing.
You said points scored, not points allowed.
No, points allowed. Sorry,
I might have misheard you or you misspoke. Whatever. Either way.
Either one, we're on the right track now.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like, either way, I think this is a barking dog. This is one that if anything, like it'll be a close game. But I just think there's upside in it with Chicago, with all the weapons that they have, with Cleveland being banged up. Cleveland's defense didn't look very good in their last few games either. So I'm going to take the dog and run with it, right? And then I have.
As far as so you're on Chicago, and actually I was kind of curious about this. You're talking about weapons, and with Dalton being out, you have Fields. As far as wide receivers go, because we all know David Montgomery is the running back, but for wide receivers, you have Robinson the second, Mooney, and Goodwin. Robinson is their top receiver, and honestly, I've never known him to be at least a high scoring player from just the years that I've seen him. He's never been someone that I've wanted on my fantasy team. He's never been someone that I really look for. So as far as I think, if anything, it's just because Chicago spreads the ball around kind of like Brady does.
Yeah, I mean, Robinson doesn't necessarily, from a fantasy perspective, he doesn't have the ceiling that some other receivers do, but he has a pretty safe floor. Like I put him in like a similar category as like Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's going to have a few games where he absolutely balls out, where he ends up doing like 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. He might get one of those a season, right? But he's going to consistently get between 50 and 100 yards receiving, and then probably a touchdown on most games, or he might not get a touchdown, but he's going to break 100 yards, right? So he's at like 10 to 15 point average receiver, right? So he's as far as from a fantasy perspective, I think he's a solid, safe play, and with as far as with consistency, but not necessarily that mooning like ceiling, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
all right, let's go to Seattle.
Going to Seattle. Minnesota is just kind of banged up, I think, at this point, right? As far as defense, from a defensive perspective, right? I just don't see. I think the Seattle's defense should be better than what Arizona put on, right? And I think
Seattle's coming off of a hard loss as well, though.
Yeah, so I think it's a bounce back. It's a bounce back win. I'm looking at a bounce back win from Seattle, and I think Russell Wilson is the ultimately the X factor. I just kind of look at overall, like, yeah, you have Dalvin Cook. They get Dalvin Cook versus Chris Carson. The nod goes to Dalvin Cook, but Carson's healthy at the moment, so he's definitely solid and can do. He can run and he can pass catch out of the backfield. I think DK and Tyler Lockett probably get the nod versus Thielen and Justin Jefferson, barely. So I think it's a fairly close matchup, right? But I think with that,
Wilson is in favoring Lockett like no other, and it's killing me in fantasy. Well, I mean, I'm 2-0 in fantasies, but still Metcalf has not been performing like I had hoped when I drafted him. At this point, I
Mm.
really should have went with Cooper Cup, who is also whom I also have Woods for. So like I picked both receivers that are ended up being the wide receiver twos, and it's killing me.
Yeah, I think Seattle takes that the bounce back win here. I think Minnesota also has some has some kicking issues, right? Their kicker's okay, but they've are one game doesn't make that much of a difference, doesn't make a season by any means. But I also think you have that lingering thought in the back of your mind that like, hey, if it comes down to to a clutch close game, um, no, this may not be you know one of those, like you said, it's just that lingering doubt. It's that lingering doubt that I think potentially will mess with their game plan there. So that's one though I am looking at. I might swap that one out though. That's probably one of my least confident ones. um I have another game that I'm kind of on, but I need the week to progress to see how some reports come out.
Yeah, that's basically where I'll be at as well. Saturday night or Sunday morning, I'll be doing some final touches and research. But let's go on to New York, because we're both on this one, and it's an interesting one, and it could just be because they're playing Atlanta.
Yep.
But Daniel Jones is a pretty solid quarterback for the team that he's on. Saquon Barkley is always questionable, but he's still playing, still doing well. He's I don't know what the questionable is for at the moment. Galladay and Shepard's come to play the past couple of weeks. He's done fairly well as far as stepping up, where him becoming the Jones's main receiver. And from Slayton's standpoint, I haven't heard much. But as far as a defensive standpoint, they're not doing overly well, because they're allowing, it's usually a high scoring game. They've allowed 28 and a half points so far on average. From a rushing standpoint, they are in the bottom half as far as yards allowed per game. And from a passing standpoint, they are bottom fourth. So so the main concern there is that they allow a lot of points, the defense. Any thoughts?
They're playing Atlanta.
Okay. Moving on to Vegas. Vegas at home is a big advantage. They're going to definitely make a statement again after they had just played Baltimore. My thinking here, and I'm assuming is your thinking as well, Miami's not as good as Baltimore, though it is a completely different team, a completely different day, a completely different week. You never know what can happen, but Vegas has the opportunity, not the opportunity, the skills for a high scoring game, and going up against Miami without I don't even know if Tua's coming back this week. And again, from a defensive standpoint, they're actually Miami's not even that bad, but I think Vegas can run all over them, especially between Jacobs possibly coming back this week. Drake is doing very well as the backup and as the pass rusher. What's his not I wanted to say Higgins, it's Ruggs the third. Is coming. He hasn't done anything in the past couple of years from what I can remember, but seems to be stepping up in the coming season. And I'm blanking on the other receivers, but of course,
Hunter Renfro and Brian Edwards, but their big target is Waller, Darren Waller,
and that was made completely obvious in the Week 1 game versus Baltimore, because Carr basically said, "I'm giving it to Waller every freaking play." Is basically what he was doing. Is he open? I'm still going to give it to him. That was all he did until the last 5 minutes of the game in overtime where he finally spread the ball around to Ruggs, and I want to say it's Edmonds, but I don't think that's right. Who's the
Edwards,
other?
Brian Edwards.
Edwards.
But you have Hunter
Who got
Renfro there too. Hunter Renfro is somebody that gets
he?
overlooked.
Yeah, but Edwards was getting more throws in Renfro in the final minutes of the game. I mean, Edwards got the last catch of the game to win it for him.
Yep.
So if Carr can spread the ball around a little more, and hopefully he learned that, they will. I think they'll do very well.
Yup. All right. Now, Rams at home against Tampa Bay.
No spread. I thought that was weird.
It's a pick 'em. Yeah.
But yeah, they're both very good teams. Both have a lot of targets between Gronk and AJ Brown, Godwin, Evans on the Rams side. I'm blanking. Woods, Cup is the major threat there. I don't know Rams' tight end, but no, at least not enough.
Higbee.
I was gonna say Higbee. I didn't think that was correct, but he hasn't been getting a lot of looks lately.
Which is a mistake. I think it's a huge mistake that they're not working in Higbee more.
Is he on your fantasy team?
Nope. I have Robert Tonyan.
I was gonna say, is that why you think he's being overlooked?
Nope. I have Robert Tonyan. I just think that, like, if you look at last season, I mean, granted, it was different quarterback, right? It was Jared Goff versus Matthew Stafford, right? But
Right.
when they got Higbee regularly involved, he they performed just better, right? Overall, right? And it's the difference between like having to account for two people, Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, versus three people, right? So you have to spread the ball around. You have to spread your coverage around more. You extend plays. You keep the defense on the field longer. There's a number of the different like factors that I think they would overall benefit from by working him in a little bit, working him in more.
And I can't help but agree with you, but that could also be said for many other teams that don't widely use their tight ends as efficiently as.
It's a scheme though. I mean, it depends on the scheme, right? Because we do have like some like the Cowboys since Jason Witten really haven't relied on Witten or have relied on their tight ends for passing.
No, you have currently you have 5 teams that really use their tight ends, and I'm just saying 5. I can only think of Tampa Bay, Raiders, Detroit, Pittsburgh used to, they don't anymore. The one that really came to mind was then where they don't anymore was Cincinnati used to use something.
Tyler Eifert.
He was.
Dang, that's a name I haven't heard in a minute.
Exactly. Like you haven't.
Well, I mean, I think he's retired at this point.
Well, no, I'm not saying
he was a sneaky good like fantasy pick though.
Oh, yeah, it was
a sneaky good pick.
And also Panthers used to use
Greg
Olsen, yeah. So like, but they don't have that extra weapon anymore. No. Not even just it being Olsen, but just a tight end that they're actively throwing to.
But yeah, for some reason the teams have what they've done is, and maybe it's just because they can get them for cheaper, what they've started doing is instead of investing a lot of money in their offensive line, they've been moving. Some teams have moved the two tight end sets for blocking purposes. I've seen it a lot. So say the Cowboys do it a lot. Who else was doing it? I saw somebody. Oh cripes. I don't remember who it was. There was another, but there was a couple other teams. Like I kept hearing the same. Like I kept hearing it when we were watching Red Zone in week 1, right? For week 1,
right? Where
they were talking about like 2 tight end sets being like a thing, and I just kept hearing it over and over again. I'm like, oh, so that seems to be a trend now. Is like when you have which makes sense, right? You have a weak offensive line, and you're missing, or a guy goes down, right? You have a player out that's injured, a starter that's injured, you're bringing in a backup, or you have to shift players, you have to shift linemen around due to injury or COVID protocols, whatever the case may be. But then they end up using 2 tight end sets as a buffer or an alternative option to the offensive line. So I think that's also what we're seeing right now, where we're not seeing a lot of receiving tight ends anymore.
Well, I honestly think it definitely has its moments where that can be a good strategy, but I think they're missing out on the balance of having another threat downfield that can get you those extra yards that you need. But that's just my opinion.
Yep.
But overall, I'm happy with the picks that we've chosen for this coming week. I think it may need to be tweaked a little for a couple of these games, but I mean, if we keep them as they are right now, you and I are not going to be that far apart in our scoring, which worries me a little, because if you and I are this close, it means that something's wrong. So I'm gonna take another look at my games. One of the things I think helped me a lot last week was I wasn't hearing your advice in my ear, and which got me 44 points.
What advice? I don't give you advice.
Well, you put around your opinions. I got 3 points in week 1. I don't get any advice from you in or I don't hear your opinions in week 2. I get 44 points. I'm just saying, maybe I need to filter out some of the things that you say and just like, okay, he did say this, but what are my own thoughts?
Sure. Yeah, I'll leave you to your own devices. You're your own worst enemy, so it's perfectly fine. We can start my winning streak now if you want.
Yeah. Time will tell. I do have 2 wins in a row, and we did say we were going to start doing a punishment after we do 2 wins in a row.
Okay.
So next week, yeah, so this is a challenge week. We don't have a punishment yet, but there will be a punishment for the loser. Sound good?
For just the loser, or why don't we do this, since there has to be a yeah. No. So it would be 2 weeks in a row. We now have to have a thing. Yeah. I'm following.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah,
this week,
this is our challenge week. You loser does a punishment.
Okay.
That's simple. We haven't discussed what it is yet, but we'll come up with it, and we'll do it. It'll be a surprise for everyone in the next video.
That we do the punishment, or what, or who lost and what the punishment's going to be.
All of the above.
Okay.
Well, next week we'll have the loser. We will reveal the punishment. Then the loser will do the punishment in the episode.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Fair enough. All right. So current standings, right? The current standings, weeks 1 and 2 go to you. We were both positive. You were just more positive this time around.
What was your score right now overall?
14.5.
14.5. All right. Yeah. 67.5. Keep going up. I mean, I don't even need to be, top 5 at all through the season, but I think that's how the number 1 guy last year in our 105 people that play got first place. Like, he never really got top 5, but he was always top 10. And that consistency just adds up.
Yeah, no, for sure.
All right, let's get out of here. It's getting late. I'm tired.
All right. So follow us on Facebook at The Bald and Beardiful. Email us with your comments, questions, queries, concerns, shower thoughts at thebaldandbeardiful@gmail.com.
We do have an Instagram running, which was not put up here, but it is also The Bald and Beardiful, just with periods in between all the words.
.bald and .beardiful.
Yep. It was the only one available. We couldn't do underlines. We couldn't just do it all together. They were all taken, but I could put a period between the words, and we were good.
You could, but we couldn't get bald and Beardiful.
I tried so many different things, and we are the Bald and Beardiful. We're not Bald and Beardiful.
Whatever.
We are the Bald and Beardiful.
All right. Like the video, subscribe, comment, helps the algorithm, helps us get more views, helps us get more attention to our shenanigans. Play against us. Oh, we didn't. You know what we need to do? We'll do it next week because I knew this one was gonna be long. So I didn't. I was thinking about it, but didn't actually add it in. We need to add in the Blazing Five before against Cowherd. So we'll do a recap of where he's at as far as season to date.
I love how we're making somebody play along with us who doesn't know who's playing along with us.
We should tweet at him or Instagram at him on the line.
We'll do. We need. We are still waiting on some pictures so that way we actually have like a profile picture or something. Like we don't have much. We have a video up on.
But we should get a Twitter. We should tweet at him. I actually think we should. I think that would be pretty good. We might be able to get his attention. Maybe he'll play along. Maybe he'll modify like what he's got going on. Who knows?
All right, we can do it. Yeah.
All right. Any last words?
Nope, I'm good. You want to take us out?
All right. Until next week, same ball time, same Beardiful channel.
Bye, everybody.